Hello, everybody. Today's topic is going to be over the cell cycle and mitosis. Please ignore the topic 2 here. I know that you learned about the cell cycle first in this unit. Let's just ignore that. Okay, so we are going to be talking about the phases of the cell cycle, and we'll also get into a little bit of mitosis. Okay, the first things I want to talk about are the difference between asexual and sexual reproduction. The biggest thing that you need to know about these two terms is what the offspring look like. In asexual reproduction, the offspring are 100% identical to the parent. An example of this for cellular reproduction is mitosis, which is going to be what we're focusing on at the end of this video. Okay, so you need to know offspring is 100% identical. In sexual reproduction, the offspring is genetically diverse. It is not identical to the parent. It actually takes more than one parent to reproduce sexually. Okay, and a type of cellular reproduction that goes along with this is meiosis. Meiosis is the production of gametes, or the egg and sperm cells that are used in order to create genetically diverse offspring. Oh, what just happened? Resume slideshow. I do not know why that happened. Excuse me. Okay, we're going to keep on going. All right, the cell cycle. There are two main phases of the cell cycle, interphase and mitosis, or the M phase, you can describe it as. Interphase is the part of the cell cycle where the cell is not dividing, and mitosis is the part of the cell cycle where it is dividing. This picture here starts right around here at the 10 o'clock position in the G1 phase. You can see the inner circle here. It says interphase, and then the purple mitotic phase. We have G1, S, and G2. I'm going to explain what those three parts of interphase are in just a second. And then with mitosis, you can see the cell is splitting its DNA in half. Okay, so here's the thing with interphase. It's where the cell's not dividing. It's a single cell. It might be getting ready to divide in one of these smaller phases that I'm going to talk about in a second. But honestly, it makes up 90% of the cell cycle. We will talk about G1, S, and G2 in just a second. In mitosis, this is where the cell is dividing. It includes these phases down here: prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase, and cytokinesis. We are not going to focus too much on those. You do not have to have each one of those memorized, but I will go over them briefly during this PowerPoint. At the end of the cell cycle, you have two genetically identical daughter cells. Okay, so that's what they call them in science, daughter cells. So you go from one cells to two, and they are 100% identical. So this is a form of asexual reproduction. Okay, this GIF here shows you the process of the cell cycle. You'll see it highlights the different phases down here. We're going to wait for, oh, it's splitting. There we go. Okay, back to the beginning. In G1, you're going to notice the cell is going to grow. There we go. S phase, it has something to do with DNA. It's actually copying the DNA. G2, we're going to grow some more. Mitosis, we're splitting in half. Okay, all right. On to interphase. We're going to talk about interphase in detail now. Okay, so it's the longest phase of the cell cycle. It's the part where the cell is not dividing. Let's talk about G1. G1 is the phase of the cell cycle where it's just being a normal cell. It grows in size and does normal functions for whatever type of cell that is. The S phase is where S stands for synthesis. It's called DNA synthesis. This is where DNA is copied. We're making a new copy of that DNA for the cell when it divides. G2, this is the second growth phase. Oh, by the way, did you guys see that G stands for growth? G1, first growth phase. G2, second growth phase. It's where the cell is going to grow some more, and actually it prepares to divide. Okay, and DNA at this point, at the end of interphase, it has replicated, but it's still in the chromatin form. Remember, we talked about the different forms of chromosomes. Chromatin is the loose, squiggly, free DNA here. It is not supercoiled up into its chromosome form quite yet, because remember, we only see that supercoiled X pattern of our DNA when we are getting ready to divide our cell, and the cell is not dividing right now. Okay, the stages of mitosis. I am going to go over the different parts of mitosis, but the biggest thing that you need to know is that mitosis is a process of dividing body cells or somatic cells, and you are making two cells that are genetically identical to the parent cell. Okay. So in the first phase of mitosis, when we are getting ready to split our cell, it's called prophase. Oh, the order of these phases, you can remember the word PMAT, P-M-A-T. Kind of like placemat. Okay, so P stands for prophase. This is where the chromatin actually supercoils up and condenses into those chromosome shapes. So you can actually see the chromosomes there. They're no longer just squiggly little lines. Also, we've duplicated our DNA, so we have 2 copies of each side. Like there's 2 greens connected in the middle, there's 2 yellows connected in the middle by the centromere. Okay, our nucleus is also dissolving, just kind of like point that out to you. Metaphase. Meta, you can think M for middle because the chromosomes line up down the middle. We call this the equator of the cell. This is so that we can make sure that every single chromosome is in its place before we split that DNA in half and we form 2 cells out of this. Okay, so the chromosomes line up single file down the middle. So middle for metaphase. And then anaphase, you can think A for away or A for apart, okay? So what's going to happen? Oh, you'll notice we have split these chromosomes in half at the centromere. So one chromatid is going towards each side of the cell, okay? So we have one set of DNA and one set of DNA. Each is a separate full copy that the cell will need when we have split. Okay, so that is anaphase. We are splitting the DNA in half. So each side gets a full copy of these chromosomes. So for humans, that would be 46 and 46 each. Okay, telophase. Telophase is the last phase of mitosis. This is when the chromosomes begin to uncoil. Oh, you'll notice that the nucleuses are coming back. Yeah, so once the all those chromosomes reach the opposite sides of the cell, we are going to form our new nucleus around our sets of DNA. And then cytokinesis is the process where we divide the cell's cytoplasm. You can see here that there's a dip in the cell membrane there. We're actually at the beginning phases of cytokinesis. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about cytokinesis. That is when the cytoplasm divides between the 2 daughter cells, and it's actually different in animal cells and plant cells. You'll see here at the picture on the left, the animal cells are squishy, you know? Like all you just pinch them down the middle. There's like a little band of proteins. It's kind of like a rubber band that squishes down the middle until we have cleaved the 2 cells apart. But here's the thing, plant cells have that really like rigid outer cell wall. You can't just pinch the cells in half like you can an animal cell. So what we actually do is build a new cell wall right down the middle. It's called a cell plate. And so you can see these dark green plates here. They are forming. They will eventually fuse together down the middle to create the new cell wall. Let's see, is there anything else to go over in this PowerPoint? Here is a nice little visual of the cell cycle in mitosis. Here we have an interphase cell. So remember, interphase is like G1, S, and G2 all combined. We have our nucleus, our chromatin form of DNA. It's all stringy, right? Then we're going to go through mitosis, prophase, metaphase, anaphase, and telophase. Prophase, you can see our DNA condensed into the chromosomes. That's prophase. Metaphase, they lined up down the middle. Anaphase, they are being pulled away or apart to each opposite side of the cell. And then once the DNA reaches each side of the cell, it relaxes, it uncoils into the chromatin shape again, and our nucleus comes back. And with cytokinesis, we're going to divide that cytoplasm in half, and whoop, we get to start the cell cycle right over again with interphase back in the G1. Okay, so just to revisit this GIF again, you can see how the chromosomes are moving during the process of mitosis. Okay, there we go at the very end. We'll watch it one more time. Well, first cytokinesis. There we go. Okay, all right. Prophase, metaphase, anaphase, pulling it away, telophase, nucleus comes back. Then cytokinesis is going to happen. We're going to split that cell down the middle. Whoop, there it goes. And now we have 2 identical cells. All right. Ooh, we're going to skip this. We do not need to go over this unless you really want to learn about it. Nope. And we're not going to do this part either. Okay. Thank you guys so much for watching my video. I hope this helps.